Hello everyone, Darren here, and on today's episode of Watch the Academy, we are going to be discussing the Howitzers. And no, I don't mean artillery. I am referring to the 105 and 122 millimeter guns that you tend to see at like the low or lower mid tiers, like tier 5 and 6, that you can find on tanks like the M4 Sherman or one of the KV heavies or even the Panzer IV-H. A lot of new players tend to gravitate towards these guns under like a false expectation that they see in the garage when they, finally upgrade to these guns, and then their expectations are dashed when they go into battle with these guns for the first time, not having any idea how howitzers work, and then they're just kind of confused, frustrated, and complaining in social media locations or the forums back in the day, or even Discord. So today's video is going to be kind of discussing these howitzers and kind of their overall general purpose, and hopefully at the end of this video, if you are a new player yourself and you're on a line that may have one of these howitzers, you will be able to no longer be doing the sub 100 or to like 150 HP damage shots range that you're seeing right now, but able to make more calculated decisions as to what gun you want to use and or how to properly use the howitzer you choose to load onto your tank. So without further ado, let's actually go to the garage and look at a side-by-side comparison of the 105mm howitzer and, of course, the final upgraded gun that you can find on the M4 Sherman. So here we are in the garage. I have all three potential guns you can use on the M4 Sherman side by side for you to look at and compare with me. So left to right, we have the stock 75. Then we have the first gun upgrade, the 105mm howitzer. And then we have the top gun, which is a 76mm. At a glance, with just the stat cards here, we can see that almost across the board, the stock gun and the top gun are better than the 105mm howitzer in all aspects, except for the damage. The 105mm beats both other guns with an potential HP damage of like 410 HP a shot, while the 75 and 76 do, 110 and 115 respectively. So, we can clearly see that there's a damage advantage that the 105mm has that the others don't. And that tends to be one of the numbers that new players would look at and see that, oh, this must be very better, and I can delete everything with all this damage. And they would go and select the gun and not really kind of understand, the value of a very high rate of fire and good accuracy and the better penetration. They're not super paying attention to those or don't care yet, and that's fine. And they just see damage. They just see higher damage must be better, and that's good. And it doesn't help that the HE damage information when you go and choose your ammo, that doesn't help either, because that's also a big number for full penetration shots, and they don't know that it's only full penetration shots. And so they see, okay, I'm going to load a bunch of HE because that does a lot of damage, and I'm going to use this 105, and I'm just going to do tons of damage, and I'm going to be super good. And then they go into battle, and then they do like 90 damage a shot, and they may be very confused. So basically, in most cases, unless you know what you're doing with howitzers, you are almost better off using the 75, like the stock gun in the case of the M4 Sherman. You are almost better off using the stock gun all the way up until you get the 76mm top gun, and then just switch to that. However, of course, howitzers using HE are good at two different things. They're very good when they actually land full penetrating shots, which will show some demonstration here in just a minute or two. And they are also good for just straight up saturation damage. Now, saturation damage, I kind of expect new players to not understand what that is. And that's basically you're just lobbing around an HE round at an enemy for splash damage. You know it's not going to do a whole lot of damage, but you're just plinking away at them, just death by 1,000 cuts or something basically similar to that. And if you're okay with knowing that you're not going to be doing big damage shots, and you're just okay just plinking away with HE, then fantastic. You may be better off using the heat round on that gun as well. If you are okay with potential bounces or failed penetrations, because that's how heat rounds work. But in most cases, if you're trying to go for consistency and, better performance in game and better support for your team, you're better off using the stock gun or the top gun or anything that is not the howitzer, and just kind of skip the gun entirely. Now, like I said, we're going to jump to just a couple clips of full penetration so you can kind of actually see what that looks like, and you've already seen the plinking away saturation shots that I had in the intro clip. So, let's take a look. Alrighty, so special thanks to Death Pigeons for providing this clip for me. He's one of my assistants, and he's going to have many examples of full penetration shots, much like against the Skoda, for example, as he'll do 434 damage. And that's how you'll be able to tell if he does a full penetration shot, is by like how high the damage is. So if you see a shot from like the 300 to 400 plus range, that you can safe bet that was a full penetration. In the meantime, though, I'm going to be explaining how you can try and get consistent yourself with getting full penetration shots with howitzers. Now, if you're going to be using HE, you want to have a solid understanding, or at least a basic understanding, of how the HE mechanic works in the game. You also want to have a knowledge of the basic weak points of tanks, and to go farther than that, you want to have knowledge of the enemy tanks that you're facing, and those last 2 points kind of coincide. Most tanks will all have the same weak points. Of course, there's always going to be outliers. The more you proceed up the tiers, despite all having the same more or less weak points, there will always be some tanks that don't have those same weak points, or will have other weak points that you got to learn. So if you can manage to learn and understand all three of those things, you have a very solid chance of getting good, consistent shots, full penetrations with HE, as you'll know where to aim, you'll know what tanks you can and cannot do full penetration shots on, and that will make you decide whether you need to switch to like heat rounds, or if you just need to, whittle away at his HP pool with just, saturation shots. But there is another thing you can consider, is just not engaging in those tanks and only targeting tanks that you'll do full penetrations on. For example, this very paper Japanese tank destroyer that was just, obliterated, despite it being a one-shot already. Other tanks that are very susceptible to full penetrations are going to be very lightly armored TDs, light tanks, and RD especially. Most of those are going to be very susceptible to getting just yeeted with a full penetration from an HE howitzer. But yeah, that's pretty much about it. You just need to kind of get better and learn a little bit more with how certain things work and weak points and stuff with the game, and you'll be able to land consistent shots with howitzers. But that's going to do it for today's video. I'd like to thank you all for watching. If you have found this video helpful, hit that thumbs up. And if you want to see more videos like this one, don't forget to subscribe. But until next time, this has been Darren of WotC Academy.